Okay, good morning, everybody. How are you? Yeah, I mean, since I left you, I've been trying to diagnose why the sick was, why the rose was sick. And, I have not reached like a certain diagnosis, but so today, hopefully, you help me to tell me what made the rose very sick. Today, we're going to continue discussing the poem, in terms of form and in terms of imagery as well. So if we have some imagery, because I think we discussed the, figurative language last time, did we? Okay, so let's do all of this together today, like we're going to look at everything today. And then we'll assign some time for symbolic interpretation. Okay. O rose, thou art sick. Now, what kind of figure of speech is this? O rose, thou art sick. Yes, please. It is a personification. Like the rose is perceived or is personified like a person who is sick. Who is sick. Now, this is what we see in the poem. However, this is a multi-layer figure of speech. Like the rose itself, yes, it is like a person who's dead. But we ask ourselves, what does this rose stand for? So, after all, it is a symbol. We have symbolism. It is a personification, O rose, thou art sick. And this personification even is made, clearer by the apostrophe, O rose, thou art sick. The invisible worm that flies in the night, in the howling storm, has found out thy bed of crimson joy. Again, the invisible worm is like what? It's like an intruder. A person, this is another personification. An intruder who is invading the peaceful bed of the sick rose, has found out thy bed of crimson joy. Of crimson joy. Now, I think crimson joy, what is it? It is oxymoron, because we have two contradictory, ideas, two contradictory words. And his dark, secret love, it is a paradox. How come, love is dark and secret? Does thy life destroy? So again, the rose is perceived like a person. If we are looking at the images, I think we have visual images, we have color images, we have kinetic images. O rose, thou art sick. Usually, roses are associated with which color? Red. O rose, thou art sick. And red is always associated with emotion and passion. The invisible worm. The invisible worm. The tricky thing, this is like, as we said last time, it is invisible, but literally it is not invisible. So invisible, it is like, one side of it, like it is there, physically it is there, it has a shape, it has a form, but it is abrupt, it is invisible, we don't know, it is unpredictable, it is very precarious. Very precarious. That flies. Even if you look at the worm itself has this disgusting, form, shape, and its movement is slow, it is very slutching. But here, like later, that flies. So it has both characteristics. It moves slowly. However, when it defines its target, it flies, and this is adds more danger to it. In the howling storm, I mean, the night, of course, it is dark. So we have the image of darkness. It's a visual image. In the Howling Storm, we have a sound image, which, of course, onomatopoeia. And like last time, we imitated the voice. It was very funny. Has found out the bed of crimson joy. Here, again, you have two visual images. Joy, joy, it's an abstract thing, but it's crimson joy. How come? How come joy is colorful? But we said, like, crimson also is associated with, pain. So we're talking about, crimson fever. It's fatal, painful joy. I don't think we have other images. Good. This is like what we call the special language of poetry, which we might need to use whenever we interpret. Now let's move to the meter, which is very interesting, and I think it poses some challenge for us, like in the act of interpretation. O rose, as you see, thou art sick. O rose, thou art sick. As you see, there is scansion here. O rose, two, stressed syllables. It started by two. The poem, if you know, the meter of the poem is, and his dark secret love, which is like anabast. It is anabast. Two unstressed, followed by one stress. Like here, this is the meter. And his dark secret love. And his unstressed, dark, straight, secret, two syllables, unstressed, and then love. This is the meter. What is happening here? There is, what they call substitution. Like sometimes, the anabast is substituted by another meter, by iambic or a spondee, as it is happening here. O rose. Now why? Why? This is like we have to answer. O rose, thou art sick. Why it is too stress? See? Think about it. The invisible worm, if you look at the invisible, it is here, it is one syllable. So it is unstressed. The invisible worm, unstressed, it's one syllable. If we look at it like this, the in, and then visible, this is like iambic, it is unstressed. Then you have visible, visible, two unstressed, two unstressed, and then stress. So anabast. The same is happening here. That flies, that flies in the night, it is anabast. So we have two iambics substituted here. Then here, as you see, it is again what? Two answers. Yes, anabast and then iambic. So it is reversing. Has found out thy bed, it is the same. Has found, it is anabast and then iambic. Of the crimson joy, this is the only iambic. So it's pure iambic of, as you see, of crimson joy. And then this is like, you see what? And his dark, this is the pure anabast. So it is foregrounded. It is foregrounded. Does thy life destroy? It is, similar to this line, it is two unstressed, it is anabased followed by, iambic. So what is this? It's really weird. Like, it is strange. So, but usually in stylistics we have something called foregrounding. You know what's mean foregrounding? Putting in the focus. You are taking stylistics. Today you are taking foregrounding. And foregrounding also, is achieved by deviation. Because this deviates from the norm of the poem. These are the pure stylistic features. So what do you think? Why? Now, iambic has to do with, melody, with, musicality. Anabased has to do with, sadness, subtlety, something like this. So what do you want to say? Like, why? And his dark secret love.
He wants to invoke a certain mood.
Yeah, he wants to
Invoke a certain mood in the reader.
what mood do you think?
I think it's more of like it's like really sad and dark and just really weird.
Yes, I think here it's like the foregrounding is like, because this is the most central. So we keep asking ourselves, how come, is, love, which is always bright, dark. It is very important, like to stress the important. This is the most important line in the poem. And his dark. Without understanding this, you will never understand any interpretation. I mean, you'll never account very well for any interpretation. Your interpretation will be very weak. And his dark secret love, look here. And his dark secret. You see? And his dark secret love does thy life destroy. You see? You have 6 syllables, and like it goes like this. And his dark secret love. The rhythm invites us to meditate, to think about this. And his dark secret love does thy life destroy. But, here, again, why is it iambic pentameter? Yes?
The whole poem is full of paradox and present. So even in the meter you have paradoxes.
So, yes. Again, you want to say like the whole poem, the dominant atmosphere of the poem is like, paradoxical. We have contrast. So this is part of the whole scheme, just giving us, contrasting elements and inviting us to make sense of these contrasting elements.
Yeah, and
you see?
those 2 lines, maybe he's doing the foregrounding. He's shedding light and focusing on these 2 lines, on the paradox, on the oxymoron, on the fact that there's something contradictory that we need to figure out.
Yes. But let's go back to the beginning, Oh, Rose. Oh, Rose. Why this is a spondee, what we call a spondee. Why? Oh, Rose, like, oh, Rose. Oh, Rose. Thou art sick. It carries with it what? A sense of shock. Oh, Rose. Thou art sick. Thou art sick. Look at the anabast. Thou art sick. Oh, Rose. Like you're shocked. And then you say, with bitterness, with a sense of bitterness, thou art sick. See? I think we can account for this. But I don't want to go deeper. I just want you to see this is the most musical, because we said, like, iambic, it is very melodious. So what does he say, of Crimson Joy? Is he sarcastic? Is he sarcastic? Because this is not, something, which invites, or which reflects an atmosphere of happiness, real happiness. So, given all these poetic aspects, I think it is very important, like when we interpret, we take them into consideration.
I want to say something.
Yes, please.
Since he started with "O Rose, Thou Art Sick," we see that there is I think it is the conclusion of the whole story. So he started it from the end, and then he goes back to
the reasons why it is said.
Yes.
So I think for the 5 lines at the beginning of the story, there is a kind of infusion between the iambic and the anapathetic diameter.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started at the end to give us, I think, every meter alone.
Mm-hmm.
So here of Crimson Joy, it is the iambic one. So he has given us the reason. When it is so emotional, but it is, I think, a negative emotion.
Mm-hmm. So, and like this is what we mean by sarcastic. He's,
Yes.
you know, sarcastic.
Yes, and then the other line, and his dark secret love, it is anapathetic also. So this is the another conclusion for the first one,
Yes.
Crimson Joy,
Yeah.
which is, I think, it is so destructive.
Yeah, and it is the only anabast here
Yeah.
in the whole poem. You know, it is the only anabast.
Yeah.
You know, but it is the corner. I mean, it is the basis of the whole poem.
Give us the main reason for
Yes,
why this.
very good.
I think
Yes,
he wrote
I like.
this.
This is, you know, the main reason.
Yeah.
Look, this is the value of having 2 teachers, you know. We're complementing each other. Okay, yes, it is here like to focus, like to say, yes, you know, this is the main reason. It is dark, secret love.
He's zooming in on
Yeah.
Yes.
It is the focus.
Okay, let's little bit immerse in the symbolic interpretations, the rose, the invisible world. So we have 2, you know, like 2 main symbols. Of course, we have the night, we have the howling storm, we have, you know, the bed. What else? You know, we have these things. So the rose stands for what? Yes?
For love or maybe nature.
Nature. Nature. And the worm?
The word
industrial.
Industrial Revolution. Can you tell me, like, can you elaborate a little bit? Do you agree with her, like, about this interpretation? Which is very strong. If we are looking back at the age of, you know, or the 18th century, let's say, you know, the age of Blake. Yes.
It's familiar with us, the Industrial Revolution and the result and what is affected the nature by the revolution. Also, people will become busy in the industry.
Okay, let's say, yes, we do agree with you. The rose, you know, stands for nature, which was abused by the Industrial Revolution, and we mean pollution, you know, and, you know, the smoke of factories, etc. But here, if you like come up with this interpretation, you might need to look at Dark Secret Love and the Crimson Joy. How? You see? See. Okay. If you like, you need to use these 2 images. Yes?
Maybe rose, it represents.
No, let us stick to her. You see, let us stick to her interpretation. How come, like, you know, this, you know, the Industrial Revolution, what does Industrial Revolution and nature have to do with Dark Secret Love?
Well, people were indeed like, they were crazy about the Industrial Revolution. They were moving from the countryside to the city.
Yeah,
They were really
excellent.
excited.
Yeah.
They
So,
were getting into it. They were like,
yes, from the outside, you know, because it meant,
yeah.
you know, mainly the Industrial Revolution was meant to enhance the welfare of human beings.
Yeah.
So ostensibly, it was for the service of humanity.
And there's jobs.
But what happened, you know, like, but what is, like, what, like, whenever we have mechanization and whenever we have machines, do you think, you know, the main purpose of those who started it, like, to enhance the, you know, to enhance the life of people? Or, yes. So most of these projects, you know, just making money. And they might not care about the consequences. So those who invented the machines, okay, they wanted, you know, like, mainly they wanted to make some money. Look, in America, the North invaded the South because of money, because of industry. They wanted to sell their machines. I think also the war against Iraq was to sell, you know, weapons for, you know, yeah. So you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. From the outside, it was for, the service of humanity. But honestly, if you look back, you might find that, the real reasons were not like that. So, people are fascinated. Again, crimson joy. You enjoy. You have the washing machine, you enjoy how it is very fast, how it is very speedy.
Also how
but
there's a lot of job opportunities.
yes, you might not be aware of the hidden things, in it. And then, I don't know, I'm not warning you, but everything is safe. But imagine it has, something we don't know. It might be very dangerous.
That's why it's invisible.
Uh-huh.
Because
The invisible.
side we don't really notice.
Don't be aware of.
Yes, because the
That's
invisible.
why it's invisible. Because it looks good, so we don't notice what's bad.
Good. So, if you want, this is how we need to warrant, to justify our interpretation. These are very central to any interpretation. Let's move to another interpretation. Yes?
Because it can be represented as
Innocence.
which comes by destruction of values or the corruption of that age.
Yeah, we can say, the innocence of people, because the countryside people were innocent, And when industrialization, intruded the countryside, that innocence was lost. Even new values emerged, new materialistic values emerged. So the whole innocence was lost. And all of that was for the service of humankind.
And we see that in Blake's other poetic works, like the Songs of Innocence and Experience, for example, the Chimney Sweeper, and the other one for the children. When they're innocent, they're playing, they're joyful in the countryside. And then when they go into the city, they become chimney sweepers, and it becomes all about...
Yeah. So we have transformation in, human, in the values of society. Yes, please.
Maybe he's referring to the ruling characteristics of his age, for the Nazism. He was against them. He was writing for innocence and for love and beauty, but they were care about just the society and the nature and rules, abstract rules. So maybe he's the paradox between his poetry and theirs poetry. Yeah, so it has two places. His poetry is what things he was concerned of, and the others what they were.
So his poetry, which was rejected.
Yeah.
And he was rejected, and he didn't even publish it. So
Okay. So his poetry is like what?
it is the sick rose.
It's the sick rose.
So and theirs is
And he's lamenting the fact that his poetry is not accepted.
yeah.
This is good stretch, It's a good idea, but it needs hard work to justify. See what I mean? It's a good. I like it very much. Yes.
There's the woman.
Yeah, this is what most of the critics, would say. And sometimes I say it could be a man, the sick rose, because if you are taking Judy the Obscure, Hardy's last novel, Judy was a man, who was destroyed by a woman. So you can look at this both ways. Of course, any illegal, any illicit, relationship might lead to this destruction of fame, destruction of reputation. And we said last time, satanic things, we as Muslims, we know we are immune against such atrocities, such, misbehavior. Why? Because we know how Satan usually decorates things, makes them beautiful, and then makes people fall in the snares. It's a kind of attraction. It's a kind of, and then what happens after that? Remorse, regret, and you know,
Life destroyer.
yeah. So this is like the crimson joy, which is, you know, very terrible. It's very destructive joy. But I want to, you know, stretch it more. And we mentioned last time teachers and students. Does this like
Teachers
We're
and
the rose.
students.
teachers and students? You are the rose. Yes, you are the rose. And now, not us, not other people, you know.
Others.
Okay, and you can be vice versa. So how? How come? How come be like the students?
The rose.
Be like a rose. They're made sick.
Maybe if they're corrupt, like sometimes when you talk about corrupted educational system, right? And you have like really bright students, but you have the system itself, the educational methodology, the teachers, everything is not really good. Something that is actually harmful. It's destructive that rather than instructive. The ways that they use are actually destroying the students' mentality, ability to think, the desire to learn, so it can be destructive.
Yeah, and like how
They
can?
go to schools and they're expecting to learn, but they end up hating schools.
And when they, you know, these students, the same students might pass,
yeah,
you know, and they become very jovial, very happy. But when they want to go and find a job,
yeah,
you know, they don't. You know why? Because they were not trained very well for the job.
yeah.
You see what I mean?
Or maybe the teacher holding destructive ideas and beliefs from other cultures to destroy our own cultures and
Yeah.
Yes, very good. And you know, all of this, you know, is given the shape of progress, of, you know, Western, of fascination, you know. Good. Again, like parents and children. Parents and children.
If you spoil your children, that is, it's joyful, like to be spoiled and to have all this, but then it ends
How
up,
come? Like, yes, yeah.
It's joyful, but at the same time, it ends up being destructive also. Like you end up being
Spoiled.
a loser.
So, and like, how would you characterize, you know, dark secret love? Do you think like parents might hold this kind of love to their kids? Yes? Yes, Layla?
Maybe when the parents love their children very much, they will keep them in the house. There is no there is no
When parents are-
with the others. So when they get older, when they go to the outside, they will find another word, not like the word they imagine in their mind. So they will destroy them.
Yeah, I mean, overprotection, over love, this is what we call perverted love. Perverted love. You know what I mean? Upside down love. Perverted. And this could be one of the many themes of the poem. Perverted, it is upside down. How come? You know? Yes, you're right. If we tend to love our kids or even our students too much to the extent that we put up with their mistakes, we tolerate their mistakes, we don't care when they commit mistakes. So they develop, and we always make available everything they need. We don't let them think or fret how to find like what they need. So they will develop into very dependent you know, personalities. And this is like, we're harming them. We're destroying them. When they go on their own, like in life, they will be unable to manage. See what I mean? Good. What other interpretations do you have for this? So we, so far we mentioned nature and, you know.
When they were pure,
Pardon?
pure love.
Love and pure love and what?
I think a pure love will destroy by the jealousy.
Very good. Yeah, jealousy. Nobody has talking about jealousy. Nobody has talking about, talked about,
Relationship between
yes.
money.
No, I mean, hypocrisy,
Hypocrisy, yeah.
you know. The hypocrites, sometimes friends, like two friends who are, one friend is making an advantage of the other. And this friend, like, pretends to be a friend, but his, motives are sinister. So you might find some people whom you don't see as pernicious. You don't see them harmful, but, they are the invisible. They work very hard to destroy you. It happens. Some people are devilish. Evil is there. So we have to be very careful. We have to, make sure that the motives of those people are genuine, Yeah. Yes, Hidayat, what do you want to say?
I don't know, the most,
Yeah, which is the interpretation you like?
the most, I like the interpretation of the parenthood and,
Okay, you like this interpretation.
yeah, I like it.
But here, yes?
Another interpretation when the exaggerating confidence in someone. Confidence is a good thing, but when it is rise in someone, it will destroy him.
It becomes pride, like
Yeah.
arrogance.
Proud of himself.
Okay, so Blake wrote poetry which invited us to think, to imagine. And that was something against the expectation, the norm of the time. That, was a revolutionary way of writing poetry. It is revolutionary. As you see, he's not following, and even the rhyme, we don't have the heroic couplet, you see? So it is A, B, C, B, We don't have the heroic couplet. We don't have the rules, like the poetic diction. Okay? And it's poetry which invites us to think, to imagine.
What is the theme?
Huh? What is the theme?
He's giving
Okay.
space to the reader.
Yes. And what is he writing about? He's writing about not Belinda, not Ashtaful like great people. He's talking about a rose. A rose. A simple, plant. A rose. So, the topic or what is he talking about is simple, something drawn from nature. Now, I think this is a revolutionary way. As you see here, he is writing in a fashion which is not in agreement with the expectation of the time. That's why he was stigmatized as mad. But we cannot understand, Blake until we go through other poems.
Yeah.
And next time I think we are doing the tiger.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody is fascinated with the tiger. Okay. So I think the tiger is another one. Did you teach any, when you were teaching Blake? The tiger? What did you teach?
London.
London? The chartered streets? Yes?
The chimney sweeper.
The chimney sweeper? The black boy? The lamp?
I took it from this side. It is two, I think there are two poems. And the Songs of Innocence and...
Yeah, it's folds. Yeah, okay. You see, the Songs of Innocence and the Songs of Experience. Here, this is how he saw, the word. He saw the words in dichotomy. But did he see there that they were complementary, the Song of Innocence and Experience?
Yes, they are complementary.
In what sense?
Because I think here, he started with the Songs of Innocence then he goes to the Songs of Experience in order to complete. Because he actually, in the Songs of Innocence, he is interested in the childlike vision. I think it is the innocence time of the children before they are getting corrupted by the experience, before they are becoming adults, and I think they are immersed in life and getting more experience in it. And then he came back to, I think...
So does he mean by the experience, like, you know, the learning of the time, the religion of the time, which was full of hypocrisy?
Yes, everything in the time.
This is experience. The experience, like, which is spoiled, you know? And this is what made him, I think, you know, because, he, you know, Blake was confused during his time, because he looked at Christianity and those who were supposed to be, you know, like good people, virtuous people were devilish, satanic, were corrupted. I mean, the church during his time was corrupted. And that's why he wrote something called The Marriage Between Earth and Heaven, I think, you know, in which, like in the hell, like they were, you know, the good and the bad were walking hand in hand. Yes. It is very like central, as we mentioned, that you know, in his philosophy, that without contraries there is no progression. Yes, Blake saw, like, I mean, we need experience which represents order. We need innocence, but there should be, you know, a balanced relationship between them. Otherwise, like, if experience is too much, like in this, you know, so what happens? It leads to destruction, you know, and again also in the tiger, it leads to destruction. So there should be a kind of balance in order to have like a good human being. But after all, this is, you know, a free voice. This is the voice of individual who is very creative. You know, we have a voice which was denied during the 18th century.
What other poems you are going to teach?
I'm going to teach them the tiger, burning bright, and this is next time we are doing.
So I think the sick rose and the tiger are from the Songs of Experience.
Yes, experience.
So you are not teaching any.
And you know, because this we leave this to romanticism, you know.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for listening to us. You know, do you have any question?
No.
Okay, thank you.